Good evening, everybody. I'm going to call the City of Titusville Community Redevelopment Agency regular meeting July 8th, 2025 at 5:30 to order. I believe we do have a quorum. Yep. Can you please take a moment of silence for the invocation? Thank you very much. Can you please stand for the pledge? Thank you very much, City Clerk.
Individuals wishing to speak on agenda items must complete a sign-up card prior to the item being introduced. Sign-up cards are available on the table. Individuals wishing to speak on non-agenda items may do so under petitions and request. No sign-up card is required. Citizens will be given 3 minutes to speak on all agenda items. All sign-up cards and exhibits being submitted to the CRA shall be placed in the box on the table.
Thank you, City Clerk. Member Nelson.
Move to approve the minutes of the regular CRA meeting on June 10th, 2025.
Second.
I have a motion and I have a second. Any discussion from the board? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Executive Director?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Vice Chairman. We have a very light agenda this evening. We only have one item. We have nothing under special recognitions and presentations, and we just have one item under old business, and that is the Spaceview Park Gemini Handprint Monuments renovations. And Sue Williams, our CRA planner, is here to introduce that item and answer any questions you may have on the proposed expenditures.
Thank you. Good evening. When we were first tasked with this, it was the two main goals were the monument handprints and proper lighting, and then if money was available for landscaping and irrigation. So we gave you two options. Want to explain the reasoning behind option number one. On the Spaceview Pier, the actual new walkway pier, those solar lights, which is what we're looking at here, are 24 feet apart. Okay, if we used the 8 number, which means there'd only be 4 down the walkway, they would be 40 feet apart. So at 12, they were 26 feet apart. So that's, safety is the reason that 3 departments, code enforcement, public works, and CRA is recommending option 1. And I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Member Stokel?
Yes, just to clarify, from my briefing, it was my understanding that if we go with option 1, we'd have the more lights, and then we would just kind of delay the landscaping and other improvements. It's not like we're not doing either. It's, do we want to do lights first, or do we want to do landscaping first?
That is correct, and we
Okay.
have it budgeted for the next fiscal year, so we can do that, and it's much easier to go in and put plants than
Correct.
rearrange the lights.
Yeah, and then that was my thing. I'm fine with option 1, especially since it's safety, and we will still get our other improvements just a little bit later.
Thank you, Member Stokel. Member Nelson?
So, Sue, at the top of page 9, it says landscape and irrigation responsibilities remain with Parks and Rec. So explain, please.
Well, this was at the irrigation and the plants were at the request of the county
Okay.
to us.
So does that mean we're paying for it? So it's not really their responsibility?
That would mean we're paying for it.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Member Nelson. Member Moscoso?
Sure. Thank you so much for bringing this up. I think this is really important and something a lot of the residents wanted to see. And so I actually put this out on my Facebook, and I don't know if you saw it, but I maybe had 10 responses, and they were all for option 2. So I just wanted to put that out. I remember the last time it was over in that park, or it was when we did the code enforcement and we did the stars. And so that was part of the stops. And one of the things too, for me, I personally like option 2 as well, because I think landscaping is important. If I go into an area and it looks run down, I'm going to think it's not safe. and probably turn around. I don't know if I'm going to walk to the place where the lights are. So I prefer option 2 just because I think it's just curb appeal. And I know, don't we already have like flock cameras and stuff down there as well?
Yes, we do.
Okay. So for me, if we could, I lean more towards option 2.
Thank you, Member Moscoso. Anybody else from the board? Member Aker?
It doesn't mean we're not going to be doing the landscaping, though, when it's all said and done, correct?
Absolutely correct.
Okay, it's just we're doing it kind of in phases or in stages. And to clarify, the county's job is maintenance once it's up and running. So they're cleaning it, they're cutting the grass and stuff like that from a maintenance standpoint. They typically don't go in and replace structures. Like at Sandpoint Park, they wouldn't go in and replace structures. That would be on us.
That is correct.
Okay.
Thank you, Member Aker. Member Ball?
I would have to say I agree with staff's analysis that the lighting is probably at this point taking a higher priority than the landscaping, because the landscaping, will get done. And I would think that additional lighting is more important since we have a limited amount of budget that's available for the project that got transferred over. These solar lights, are they going to be under the tree canopies at all?
We were looking at that when we did the walkthrough several times, and because the walkway is in the center, they're not underneath the trees.
Yeah, okay. So for that reason, I agree on how important landscaping is, but I'm going to have to favor option 1.
Thank you, Member Ball. Member Moscoso?
Sue, right now is Brevard County, are they the ones maintaining the park?
That is correct.
And so how are we keeping them kind of accountable for that park? And how will we continue when we add these improvements to make sure that we don't add it and then it just stays the same way?
Well, we have a really good working relationship with the Parks Director. And obviously, when we hear that their maintenance is not what we want it to be, we usually can get them to apply additional manpower to it. So now we have an interlocal agreement, and it does require them to maintain that park.
And what happens if, like, there are some parks I feel like are really well maintained and they do a fantastic job. And every time I do contact Jeff Davis, he's out there the next day or that day of. So he's doing a fantastic job. I just feel like this park in particular, it would be great if we were on top of just the regular maintenance of it.
Thank you. Member Nelson?
I think part of the problem with this park was you had 3 entities involved in it. You had the Space Museum, who were supposed to be taking care of the handprints. You had Parks and Rec, and you had us. So I understand what Mr. Abate is saying. Our option would be we talk to the county manager if there's a problem with the maintenance. If that doesn't work and we're not happy, we pull out of the agreement. So.
Thank you, Member Nelson. Yes, and to that point, we basically pay the county quite a bit of money with our MSTU dollars to maintain our parks. So, that's constantly under evaluation if we're not feel like we're getting the service that is expected. But, normally if there's an issue, they're pretty good at resolving it. It's just really good to see this project come to fruition. I feel like we've been working on it for a while now, and hopefully we find a really good way where everybody's happy. And also to Member Nelson's point, I had a blank contract dropped off to me that wasn't executed by a mayor that said all these things, about who's responsible for what, but it wasn't executed. So I did a deep dive on this park back into the minutes back in the 90s to figure out what was the legislative intent of council at that time. And so I feel like either plan that we pick is going to be a really good opportunity for us to just okay, whatever happened in the past, happened in the past. It's time to move forward. Let's upgrade our park. Let's make it nice. Let's take pride in our city. So I'm excited either way. But if there's no other discussion, I'll tee up a motion, or I'll ask for somebody to make a motion. Oh, city clerk, is there any cards?
Yeah, there's 2 cards. The first one's Lisa Mosier.
Hi, Lisa Mosher, 525 Indian River Avenue. I actually like option 2. I understand about the safety thing, but my fear is you put the lights in, you fix the monuments, the landscaping that's going to go on next year's budget comes up, and that gets lined out for some reason. You needed the money for something else. This way, if you get at least 8 lights, the landscaping, the irrigation, it's done, and then you add the other 4. And you just set your lights a certain way that you can add 4 more next year. I just think that it would be good for the city, for the residents to see that you're doing a complete project and not, okay, we did the lights and we did this, but it's the landscaping still looks like, and I walk this area all the time now, and so I think do the whole thing and add more lights later. Thank you.
Thank you very much. City clerk?
The second card is Tony Schiflo.
Tony Schiflo, Historic Norwood House. For once, I agree with Lisa. Imagine that. But her point is right on point, and I would like to say that as a member of the Historic Preservation Board, one of the projects that I am currently working on, and I'd like to share with you because it involves this park as well, is a project on mid-century modern, and the space program comes to Titusville. And this being a park that has handprints and monuments to astronauts, part of the space program, is very germane to my project, I would say. And so I would like to see preference 2 because of the landscaping and the maintenance of it. And I agree with Lisa in spacing the lights 8 versus 12, space them so that you can add the other 4 in next year, but at least we have a whole year's worth of maintenance of the landscaping. There's a lot of feedback publicly about the gateway projects to entrances to I-95 and how we've got wildflowers, but you know, I don't even know what those plants are that are growing wild on the actual banks of I-95, but I thought that was part of the process. I thought that was part of the landscaping that they would do, that they would trim those back and make it attractive up there too, because that's what you see. You don't look at the little median of the wildflowers. And when you walk through the Spaceview Park, you look at the monuments, but you also see the landscaping. It's something that really jumps out at you, and I think it's very important for that. And lighting, I agree with Lisa. Next year, add them in. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you very much. Staff, question for you. I see that this money that we're using to make the improvements are from fiscal year 24, right?
That is correct.
Okay. So would a friendly amendment be to, first of all, how long is this project going to take to get going?
Well, it'll need to go out to procurement, so that'll take about 90 days, and then they got to order the lights, so I'd say 6 months.
Okay. And our fiscal year for next year starts October 12th. Or,
That is
October
correct.
1st. Yeah. So, you know, maybe CRA would make a motion to use the funds for option 1, and then when the next budget cycle comes around October 1st, that the irrigation be spent, because it's going to take some time to even do either one of the options. So that would be maybe my recommendation, but Member Stokel, you had your light on.
Yeah, that was kind of where I was going. Can you just clarify why staff did choose option 1? Is it cheaper if you get all 12 lights at one time versus getting 8 and then getting 4? Like, what is it? Because you guys are the ones that are doing this and implementing this and knowing the time frame, at least 90 days. Like, that's helpful when our new budget starts October 1st. It would be nice if everything could hit at the same time. So can you just explain a little bit?
Absolutely. The reason I told you the footage difference is because all three departments felt for safety that there might be some dark areas between the solar ones because they're action activity sensors. So that was, we walked it many, many times and we're spacing them out. And with 4, we were concerned that people wouldn't be safe, that our residents and our visitors would not feel safe enough to go to this park.
Okay. And does the landscaping require the same time frame as getting the lighting?
No,
It would be quicker, I'm assuming?
yes.
Okay. So
'Cause
then,
that's
I guess,
internal.
yeah, to the mayor's point, I feel like that would be a good option considering we're already into July and then our new budget year would start October. And we're the ones that get to make the decision, so we can make sure that there's funding for the landscaping, so.
Exactly, and this is CRA funds, which is a separate pot than the general funds. I understand Lisa's point, but, it's a little bit more controlled. Member Ball.
I can go along with that. I thought along the same lines, why don't we grow the scope to include, make sure we get the lighting and the landscaping. The only other option I might have suggested we take a look at is, do we have other unexpended or carry over funds from the current budget that we could do a budget amendment to include it?
Yes, we do.
So
And it's
that
actually
budget-
in the Space View Pier line item. There are funds available.
I mean, so that we could go ahead with certainty to know we had the whole scope funded by making a budget amendment to transfer, what would it be, $27,000 plus the $12,000 for irrigation? Oh, that's a recurring operations cost.
Yeah, just 1,200. Just 1,200
1,200.
recurring, not 12,000.
We'd have to do that at our next meeting.
Oh, 1,200, I'm
probably.
sorry.
Yeah, I
Oh,
just didn't want to
because-
scare people that was going to, reoccurring be $12,000.
Right. Sorry, 1,200. Got it. And my glasses on. So that would, to do the whole scope would require an additional 27,000. Is that correct? Am I reading that correctly?
That is correct. So the total for option 3, if we want to call it that, if you do the total bundle and raise it up to where you, so you can do all of it at once and just, it'd be 125,000.
I mean, I like the idea of going ahead and identifying with certainty the funding now, and then, if we have to make up where we borrowed from Peter to pay Paul, we'll do that when the budget year changes.
Thank you, Member Ball. Member Nelson,
So can I make a motion
you can.
for option number 3?
Just can you clarify your motion?
Option number 3 would be to do the whole project. By the time the RFP comes back, we may be at the new budget cycle. If not, we would have to do a budget amendment, but do it all as one package.
I have a motion on the floor.
Second.
I have a motion and I have a second. Any further council discussion?
Yes.
Member Stokel?
I just want to clarify potentially with city attorney, or can we do this, or does it need to be on an agenda if we're doing a budget amendment because it's not advertised yet?
Well, you're not doing the budget amendment, so yeah, you can go ahead and approve
Okay.
this, direct staff to go ahead and proceed with the whole project, option 3.
Okay. And then the budget amendment will come back to us.
And then the budget amendment will come back
Perfect.
before it actually
We'll have
gets
it on
in place.
next month's CRA.
Perfect, thank you.
All right, Member Ball, any further discussion? No. Vice Mayor Cole? No. All right. I have a motion and I have a second. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. The Executive Director.
Yes, sir. Well, we have no new business, and next is petitions and requests.
I am. I'm ecstatic. I'm very pleased with the way people are thinking. Thank you very much for your depth and for your interest and your posting and getting citizen feedback. Schiffelotropic Street. I wanted to say and remind you that this council is looking at Main Street, Florida Main Street program. And the conference is next week in Fernandino Beach, and staff and some citizens are actually going. And I'm sure you're going to have some very interesting feedback when they get back from that conference next week, because I've been looking at the topics that are going to be covered in the sessions, and one is even on the preservation of terrazzo. How much more Florida can you get than preserving terrazzo? I look forward to that session myself. I would like to be there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Shiflo. Any other petitions, requests, non-agenda items? Seeing none, Executive Director?
Yes, sir. The last item is the Executive Director's report, and it's just a listing of activities and items that Sue Williams is working on for your information. And I'm sure she'd be happy to elaborate on any of them, but they're just for informational purposes only.
Any questions from council? Sorry, from the board? All right. Seeing none, I just have one little update as it pertains to the CRA. I know a very big goal of ours has been to slow down traffic in downtown Titusville. Objectively, the data does not support that, according to FDOT and our own police. But Secretary Tyler of FDOT has accepted my invitation to come to Titusville, and we're going to spend some time downtown. And I'm going to see if, subjectively, if the speed is a little too fast. So
Can a seat be really close to US 1?
I'm going to take him for a beer and sit him right outside and see what happens. Say, hey, do you think these semi-trucks going by at 40 miles an hour feel like it's slow? So again, just, again, trying to come up with creative ideas so we can help improve our downtown area. But any and all suggestions from the public, we happily welcome. Anybody have anything else? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Thank you very much.